What's up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm really excited to get this going. This has been on my mind for a while now. A little bit about what you're going to get with me here in this channel is just raw honesty and authenticity around the ascension spiritual awakening process. I started having an awakening in April 2023, and since that moment, really, it's occurred to me that this is my soul path. You know, this is my reason for coming down to earth, is to share my experiences and my love and my light and my shadows and my darkness, you know, and all of it as I go. So that's what you'll get with me. Excited to have this longer format where I could talk a little bit longer than 90 seconds as I've been doing on Instagram. It's hard to fit those concepts and thoughts into that chunk of time. So I guess I wanted to make this first video a little bit about just my story, you know, and where this whole thing began and where it's led to. And then as I move forward, drift back and forth into certain topics and sections that feel true to me, you know. Something that I've struggled with is, well, I don't know if you want to call it a struggle, but when I create content, if you follow me on Instagram, jgiddy32, I have like over 45,000 followers now, and it's happened all in like 2 months, or less than 3 months or something like that. It's been crazy, magical ride that I will talk about because it's purely magic. But something, you know, that I deal with is when I get a thought, a download, inspiration to talk on a certain subject, I may be in my car or at the gym or, you know, wherever it may be, and I'm not in a proper place to record. So I'll keep the note, I'll write it down, and then with plans to record it later as it feels it will be beneficial for people. And then I can't connect to that vibration, you know. I can't connect to that frequency of when it came in. I don't have the passion, I don't have the feeling, I don't have the emotion, I don't have the just the connection to it as I did when it came in. So I can't talk about it really. And you know, sometimes I just never talk about it until that feeling comes back. So the reason I bring that up is because that's how I'm gonna do this YouTube channel. You know, just on topics and things that I'm feeling through my body at the time. So it may not be in linear order as our true reality isn't, but I'll try to make it as digestible as possible. For I think that's so important for people going through the process of awakening to connect and understand that you're not alone and we're all in this together. We all are one. And the process of waking up to the truth of this world, you know, to the reality of this universe is scary, you know. It's very, very scary. It's beyond words, truly. I still, you know, just always stop and reminisce really on like my life before this and how insane and different it was. And how in a million years I never would have thought that this possible turn could have happened. Never, right? If I think about what I thought about my life before my awakening and how I thought my life would go, right? There was nothing that I could think of that I couldn't perceive, right? So like every possible scenario was like, okay, well, this may happen or this may happen, but I'll have, you know, I'm thinking about it through the same consciousness, through the same body, mind, brain, eyes, like all of it. So there was nothing that could be shocking to me, right? That's how it felt. And then this happened. This whole thing happened, and it's just truly remarkable. It's truly amazing. So let me start. Let me talk a little bit about that. And I'll bring it back to, you know, when I was a child. When I was a child, man, I always was frustrated. I was caught up. I was losing sleep. You know, I'm talking 7 years old, due to the belief or the questioning, the understanding, the idea of what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing here, bro? you know? I just couldn't grasp in my mind at that young age that like we were just walking around and people were going to work and there was like laughing and crying and like the cycle of emotions and like we were eating dinner, but like nobody was talking about like what are we doing here, man? Like the sun's coming up, the waves are coming in. What's all of this shit? Who are we? What am I? You know? And I couldn't really articulate that at 7 years old. You know what I mean? So I got a little older and I had this kind of foundation of sadness to me. You know, this baseline of, I guess, depression. Where it was like, okay, starting to learn about life a little bit. And like, I guess there's no answers to these things. What does it all mean? You know? And I guess life is kind of just this experience of like wanting things, right? I saw my dad just always working hard, struggling, and vocal about his struggles, sharing his struggles, which was a beautiful way to connect with me and our family, but it was also a lot to hold. You know, it was a huge burden. But I was installing this program on how life should be, as we all are when we grow up, and we're so impressionable, you know? And I just couldn't truly understand that this was really it. You know, so as a young kid, I thought like getting the girls, right? This was like my earliest memory was like, okay, this is like something that we do as a man, right? Like getting all the girls to like us and being in these relationships or being wanted, really, you know? And then it got into money, right? Like, oh, I could make money, which led to my gambling addiction, which I'll talk about for sure. But all of these things outside myself, right? That life was leading me to. And I started to accept that like, okay, this is just the way that it is, you know? Just this kind of cycle of fleeting experiences. And it's okay, like we can have a good meal and watch a good movie and, you know, share and cry together. And like, that's really awesome, right? Like for a second. And then it's like back to work, you know? And these feelings of emptiness started to manifest in different ways, right? In areas where now I'm trying to fill this hole inside of me, you know? I'm trying to fill it, as I mentioned, with gambling, with girls, with sports, with being popular, with being cool, with all of those things that just allow us to feel like we are enough for just a moment, you know? And like, for me I've always been like this master of observation, you know? I just watch people and just observe them and their emotions and their feelings and how they're acting. And I remember since the youngest of memories, right? What always was attractive to me. It's so funny when I look back, I always knew. I always knew, man. I always knew all of this stuff, you know? We all do. It's a remembering. It's truly a remembering. You know, what was attractive to me was people who kept it real, man. People who kept it real. This is what my eyes lit up and looked and like, wow, I fuck with him. I fuck with her. Like, you know, like, and it didn't even matter to me what they were keeping it real about. Like, they didn't necessarily have to be this heart-centered, open, positive person. Like, they could be keeping it real that they were an asshole. And they were keeping that real, and that looked good to me, you know? And it's proof that authenticity is the highest vibration that you can walk around with, you know? But I was always born, like, with this open heart. You know, I remember feeling and thinking, like, wow, like, I could love really easily, which I'm so grateful for. You know, I'm so blessed. Like, I'm sure I've earned that through past lives and things. But nonetheless, I'm so grateful to experience this in this incarnation, you know? But I always was like, you know, if I saw someone hurting or sad, like I naturally gravitated towards that person to help and to want to help. And I felt that love in myself, and it felt so true and so real. But when I started to make friends, this wasn't mirrored back to me, you know? So it was always like being mean and being rude was the cool thing to do. And I didn't understand that as a young boy, you know, and I really struggled with that. And what did it do? What happens when you open your heart and you're not given the love that you need? You close, right? You need to be safe. You don't want to be exiled. So I started to adopt these types of characteristics or character traits, and I kind of put my love to the side all this time, you know, knowing and feeling deep in my essence, in my soul, that I was abandoning myself, you know. But life went on, and as I mentioned, I got into gambling a lot, and I you know, I have over 3 years clean now, and I could trace back my steps. And when I was in the program for Gamblers Anonymous, and I had to write a goodbye letter to gambling, like I did all this, man. I did all this, you know, and I really traced back the steps to why and where it all started and why I did it, you know. And it's amazing when you could kind of uncover the truth of these things that happen in your life. You know, for me, my dad was always obsessed with like the struggle of money and bills and working, you know. So at a young age, I said, wow, I want approval from my father. So what can I do to get approval from my father? Okay, well, I can take some of that burden off him and make money on my own. So we started playing poker, me and my friends, like 8 years old, right when the poker craze started. You know, we were like the first ones, man. You know, whole World Series of Poker thing. Anyway, I literally won probably the first 25 times. I took everybody's money. I'm the best. I'm truly, like, you know, if I didn't have an addiction to the action, we could talk about what that truly means. But I was a really good poker player. And I won all of this money. And then what happened was it disconnected me from my friends, because now all of a sudden I was taking their money, and I didn't understand that. And then all of a sudden I wasn't allowed at their house, right? They were hanging out with people, their parents found out that I was the gambler, right? I was the one. And I was exiled again, right? And this generated into this trauma, this fear of being alone that I deal and walk with now. Not being accepted, needing validation from others. This is where it all started. So I won this money, I made this money, and I remember the days of my sisters asking my parents, I need money for lunch. And I never asked. I never had to ask. And that was empowering to me. You know, that made me feel worthy. And my dad praised me for it. Not with many words, but just kind of with respect, like, yo, you're the man, like you're a man, you know? You're the man of the family, and you're handling and doing it, and I appreciate you, and you don't bother me like your sisters do, you know? Anyway, of course, winning the money started to not feel good. So what did I start to do? Well, let's try losing. Let's see what losing feels like. Losing may feel like something, right? And this was mirroring my entire life, my need for something more, my desire for the meaning of the world. So losing, you know, wow, that's drastic. I have something, now I don't have it, now I have to work through. So that started to feel more, right? It's like every movie that I've watched, or that I you know, had the desire to watch growing up, was all of this dark depression stuff, right? Like it had to have some serious meaning, because this is what I was looking for, man. I just couldn't believe it could be this basic here. And you saw this, and if you could trace your steps back, you'll see this in all parts of your life. So I started to lose, start to get into debt, start to get into trouble and things like that, and lies and hiding and all that. And that just persisted, and I became really good at playing that game. Went off to college. My mom got sick. She just randomly, I was there with her, and when it happened, me and my little sister, she just had a seizure. My mom was always fine, always depressed, before this. She's the artist in the family, also felt and feels, she's still alive, feels really deeply and passionately and with meaning and such a spiritual essence to her, just not in this lifetime was she here to ascend and expand as much. But she had a seizure, and she just stopped talking one day in the middle of a conversation with me. It was extremely traumatic, of course. And we took her to the hospital, and she's like this, and it's bugged out, bro. Bugged out. You see your mom like that. Crazy. And she was there for 4 days, and all of a sudden she got her speech back. I was 20 years old or something. And we brought her back home. I remember now. And then we're ordering Chinese food, and she's changing the channel. All of a sudden, she's just frozen again. Same thing. Brought her back to the hospital. Trauma, bro. Traumatic. And since that point, it's been a series of events like this. She had these lesions in her brain, and they thought she had MS. One doctor said she had MS. One doctor said she didn't. We're going to doctors. And, I have 2 sisters, and we're so close, me and my family, and my father. My parents got divorced, which was also traumatic for me when I was 7 or 8. And, we're going to all these doctors, we're trying to figure things out, and she's just it's those movies where I don't know, someone turns into a zombie, or someone turns to, you're like, Mom, that's not you, right? This is how it felt. Mom, that's not you. It's not you. And I never got the love that I needed as a kid from my mom anyway. So now this change, this shift in my life, in the world, turned into me being the parent for my mom. And she got worse for a while. I'm talking falling all the time. I'm coming home and picking her up off the floor, blood, helping her go to the bathroom, changing her sheets. All the while I'm trying to figure out my life. My dad lives elsewhere, but he's my dad is the giant of the family. He's, he put her arms around me and my sisters, and we were a team, and my mom, and they were close. My dad was always the leader and taking care of us and helping us, obviously pay for everything, and with the doctors, and dealing with our stress with our mother, how we couldn't take it. As if you know me, you could tell I'm sensitive, emotional, I'm in tune with my feelings. And so it's hard when all of that comes to the surface, and my sisters are even more emotional than me. So it was just so hard. It was so hard, and it continued, and it was just this huge catalyst. And then, my mom suffers from addiction, so she started to drink, and we had to deal with that, and her just being drunk, and then pills, and then trying to get her off that, and then forcing her into, to accept these things, and just this is going on for 20 years. Anyway, I could go on for days with this, but it was a very extremely traumatic situation with my mother, and life went on from there. Just again, this is just the way that it is. Bad things happen, and you go about your life, and you kind of wait for more bad things to happen. This was what I thought life was, okay? And Fast forward to about 7 years ago, where my father suddenly passes away. You know, I'm sitting in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I get a call from my sister, and I don't answer it. I remember it was such a nice day. The breeze was coming in. I was watching The Walking Dead, and it was a nice day, and I didn't answer because, you know, my sister, I didn't want to be annoyed with my sister right now. She called me again, I answered, and I remember she was freaking out, man. You know, she was like, someone's on the phone, like, oh God, man, this is terror, bro. And it's crazy because we signed up for this. We signed up for this, guys. We signed up for this. Our souls signed up for these scenarios, these tragedies, this trauma. Yeah. And anyway, I don't want to get into deep specifics, but you know, Daddy passed away, and I remember vibrating. I didn't know, you know, I remember vibrating, every cell of my body vibrating like I was shifting a timeline or something, you know, and I went to the bathroom, I was throwing up, and I just couldn't believe it. And, you know, my dad was healthy, my dad was my best friend, my dad was the most important person in my life, my dad was my savior, my dad was the backbone of my family, my dad was the only other guy in my family, my mom and my two sisters, right? So like, this was, you know, my connection to another man in this way. And in the snap of a finger, it was over, it was gone. He was gone, vanished, disappeared. And I remember just, you know, just thinking like this, once again, this is life. This is life, just waiting for more bad things to happen. And I was in a relationship at the time, and life just got real dark for a while after this. My gambling addiction spread open because I now had no one really to hide it from. You know, I still hid it from my sisters and stuff, but like my dad was, I would have died, bro, before I admitted my gambling addiction. And this is when you trace the steps back, you realize this all happened exactly as it should. My dad left. Nobody leaves too soon. Nobody leaves too soon. Nobody. Okay? This was set up. Because I would have never came clean with my addiction to my dad, because we shared such an affinity, such a connection to sports, and I bet on sports so much. And like this was like our love connection. And this is my thought process. If I come clean with gambling, then I can't talk to my dad about sports, and then I won't have this connection. And then what will happen? I'm alone again, right? This trauma manifesting. So when he left this earth, I kind of like just was free reign, and shit got dark as hell. You know, we could talk about stories and crazy shit. And you know what's so beautiful though? That I just realized this, y'all. Because I was thinking about like what my gambling, like 20 years of addiction, and what it taught me. What can I use? Because everything is planned, and all these experiences are to show us and give us tools and lessons to progress as a soul. And I had this realization, it was so beautiful, that, because my dad would always say, like, my dad gambled too, he never knew obviously about me, and we talked about gambling a lot, we watched Rounders and all these movies together, and my dad always said, you know, it teaches you about loss and risk. And in my mind, when he would say these things, and I know that I have this addiction problem, and I'm in these debt, and I'm in these lies, like I would just say like, nah, there's nothing good about gambling. There's nothing good. So recently I was thinking back, like, what did this gambling chapter. How did it serve me? And the thing that came up, which was so beautiful, was I was always, as the gambler, like, my friends would be like, I was the one, like, I put all the chips in the middle. I had all of these instinctual feelings that were right. They were true. I'm telling you, this is my gift, but they were distorted through all of the fear and things that go into when you're in this gambling space, but I was always the one like, I'm putting it all in the middle. Like I took a lot of risk with my heart, though. My heart was in it, and it occurred to me that this skill of faith, this faith that I had learned while gambling, I did it so I could have this faith in the divine now. This kind of reckless, delusional abandon, like all-in mentality on God, man. Because you gotta be a little delusional. You got to be, especially early on in this process, man. And I realized, like, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, all I do now is I think about God. I'm obsessed with ascension. I'm obsessed with it. Because I know it's just like the second I woke up, I was like, I'm behind. Like, this is my purpose, my path. Like, all I do is read and contemplate and learn about myself and integrate my shadow and love and all of these things. And I have this reckless abandonment. I don't know why I say abandonment. It's not even the right word. I have this kind of reckless devotion to this unknown, which is a lot of what gambling is. And I was training that tool in me so that I could have that for God and divine and faith. Because on this path, you go in and out of faith so much. I don't believe this, I do believe this. I don't believe this, I do believe this. What's going on? Programming this, I need to do this. And all these stories, they come back, man, as you try to heal it. So it's such a beautiful realization to know that, like, wow, I'm gonna be fine because I've been training this part of me, So anyway, the gambling got real bad. Things got real bad. Drugs, alcohol, sex, just always looking for something to get me out of my feeling that I'm in now. And I was in a relationship. Of course, we were engaged. It was a beautiful relationship, and I have zero regrets, and I love her still, and I wish nothing but the best for her. And I put her through a lot, and it just happened the way that it was supposed to happen. But I was dedicated to it. I was committed to this relationship. This was my philosophy of life. Like, I don't quit things. This is the girl I'm gonna be with and marry and have babies with, and I'm not thinking about any other possibility. So also it adds to this dynamic of, what is my life now? Like, I never thought this would happen. Anyway, I came clean one day, for real. I had to. And I started getting healthy. I started going to all the meetings and doing all the work and doing all the things and starting to learn about myself and heal, man. This was the first step of my healing. And I think this is so important for people in the process of ascension and spiritual awakening, or wanting to awaken, because I get this all the time, like, how did you awaken? Like, what did you do? I want to have a spiritual awakening, And most of the time, for a while, my answer was like, be patient, like, she never comes too soon. This is the divine process, it's right on time for you. And if you're asking these questions, then you're already starting, But when I look back and I trace these steps, I change my answer a little bit, because what happened for me, what I needed to do was I needed to come clean with these demons that were on the surface, right? Like, I needed to, like, purify that before this divine light could run through me and awaken me to the reality of this world. I needed to do some of this legwork, okay? So I started to get clean. My relationship with my fiance just didn't work out. We started to not align, okay? And we split up. So I now was alone in California. I was working a job in sales leadership, running sales teams. And now I was alone in this apartment, and I didn't have gambling, which was a hard thing for so long because gambling was like this thing that I did to take away my boredom, you know. And I had this calling to start to work out. I needed to get my body in shape. You know, this was a huge part of my awakening process, and I didn't know it at the time, of course. But I needed this vessel. I needed to take this body and prepare it for this light and this information that was going to come. So I wasn't going to have an awakening unless I started to get my body in shape. I got obsessed with the sauna, which I've read now in this Kundalini book that is a huge part of awakening and like for your body to get ready, right? So all these instinctual things that I did all led me to this very moment when this all kind of happened for me. And mind you, this was 3 years before my day, my awakening, you know, where it shifted for me. So I spent like 1.5 years by myself in California, just getting my body in shape, and, you know, was just really depressed, working this job that I was at, this company for 5 years. And, you know, I was always really, really good at my job because it was leading people, and I always loved helping. So that's what I generated with this in my career. And one day I decided, like, hey, this chapter here in California is over. I had 2 friends out here in Austin, Texas, and I packed my car and I drove out to Austin, moved out here, and lived the same life as I was living there, just with some friends, you know, like working my job all day, feeling really not fulfilled. Going through the motions of, you know, working this job and then feeling unfulfilled and then looking for something outside myself, whether that be drinking or drugs or sex or alcohol or whatever. I wasn't gambling. I was, you know, I had stayed clean with that. Praise to the Most High. But it was the same cycle, man. It was literally like this. And as I'm looking back, it's just like, damn, I was on this wheel forever, bro. And this wheel is what caused me to awaken. It caused me to say no more, bro. You know, so it was the same thing. It was the same thing. It was work, try to do good, feel unfulfilled, then go try to get that fulfillment outside myself. Then get that, feel it for like a half a second, and then crash further down than I started, and then say, okay, wait, this is not what I want. Do the right thing, work out, read my like Tony Robbins self-development book, then feel unfulfilled again, go out, try to find it, same thing, drugs, same thing. Anyway, one day I had an invite on my calendar and I was being laid off. They laid me off. I was there for 5 years and it happened really cold, and you know, it didn't like really hurt me that bad, but it was an important moment for me because I put in so much love and so much passion and so much, and then all of a sudden the cord was cut. And it's just like, I knew this about work because I had to be on the other side of those things. But it was just more of a realization that like, damn, like, all right, once again, meaningless. Meaningless, bro. And what am I gonna do now? So shortly after that, I got into some consulting, you know, did some sales consulting for teams, and you know, started to like build that out, and like was in this period, like, what do I want to do in my career? Do I want to go back into a job, a company, or do I want to like do my own thing and like build a consulting business? And I was getting gigs and stuff, like it was working, but I wasn't happy, you know? Just had this emptiness inside me, man. My entire life, y'all, I had this emptiness inside me. I know you feel me. This hole that was just like, what can I grab? What can I fill it with? And it fills it for like a second, and then it gets bigger. And it's like, damn, this is life. Okay. This sucks. This shit sucks. Like, for real, this life sucks, man. And I wasn't like always miserable. Like, I was probably a pretty positive person. But I had this baseline of depression, this baseline of sadness, of yearning for something, somewhere. Not here, man. Not here, bro. Didn't feel good here, man. I never felt good here on this earth, man. always heavy, always tired. Every time we went out to drink, my friends were like drinking and like getting happier. And I'm just like, this doesn't feel good. Dying for something to feel good, looking for something to feel good. Anyway, I went home to visit family, okay? And this was in April 2023. I bought a one-way ticket because I could do the consulting from anywhere. And I remember seeing some friends, that I grew up with. We went out, we got drunk, we did drugs, we got messed up. And I remember the next day I had, whatever, a couple days after that, I had a consulting session. I just didn't feel like I did a good job. I felt just really like I'm not doing well. And it was just like this imbalance in my body. And I was just so mad at what I had done to myself and like the drinking and like, what am I gonna do? This is the same thing, man. This is the same thing. And I swear to you, y'all, I swear to you, I was having an inner war in my body of like so much hate for myself, so much hate. Like the voice was like, I fucking hate you, bro. Like, what are you doing? This shit is so bad. But then in the alternative, like, what else was I gonna do? And this war was going on inside me, man. And I'm telling you, I thought I was gonna die or something. It got to this deepest, darkest depression of emptiness. And I've been in some dark places, man. I've been in some desperate places, man. And this was just this nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. I felt like I was screaming full speed, loud as hell, naked, alone. And I had this pull to get back to Texas. I just got there. I was like, I can't deal with my family stress, as we know. They got their whole thing and they're looking at me like, yo, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just dying inside. So I like jumped on a plane. They were like, why are you leaving? You just got here. I'm like, I don't know. And I got back to Texas and I went to go play basketball because basketball was this thing that I always did and always had to take me outside myself. And, I still had this like working out thing. This always like, I'll get my body in shape because at home, whatever, I'm not working out as much. I don't have the gym on my car. So I got back. I'm like, let me go work out. And I remember I turned my ankle playing basketball on like the very last play. And I know when my ankles hurt, I'm like, nah, I'm like, down, fuck now. My ankle, I'm out. I'm done. Now I'm mentally dying. And now I can't even do this. I remember getting back to my apartment. I was standing right there. Everything's happening all at once. So right there, right now, giving love to that version, man. I can even tell that version what to go and do. How crazy is that? Let me go and do that real quick. Can I get 5 seconds here? I'm going to go tell this version that was literally this version who just hurt his ankle, was getting water in the fridge. I'm going to go tell that version what to do. This is how it works, man. And the truth is, I'm really telling that version, man. It's crazy. So give me 5 seconds, okay? I want to do this real quick. Thank you. So ultimately, the thoughts that I was getting, the feelings that I was getting, was me. I was giving myself. I just closed that loop. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. But I got back and my ankle was hurt, and I'm like, now I'm fucked. I'm like about to go into the deepest depression ever. And then I remembered I had seen a reel by this guy named Derek Grant. Go follow him, DG Mindset. Derek Grant. I mean, he's a great friend of mine now, and the biggest part of my awakening process in the beginning, by far. Beautiful person and soul, and just anyway, he had made a reel that said something like, anything that happens to you, any experience, is just an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself. And this came through. as I'm sitting by the fridge right there. And I said, okay, fine. And it was like almost like a little bit of my consciousness shifted in this moment because I started to think about things differently. And that's what ascension is. Okay. So it started right in this moment where it was like, led me to this reel that I had seen a week ago or something. And said, anything that happens to you is an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself. So I said, okay. And I was literally coming to rock bottom here. I had nowhere to go. And I was like, all right, well, what is this teaching me? What is this asking me to know about myself? Right? And then I started to question, like, why do I need this gym so bad? This gym is an excuse. This gym is a thing for me to escape to. This gym is a superficial way for me to look better so that I could get more validation, so that I could feel better about myself. And I had this realization, wow, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for me to work on my mind. And it felt weird, it felt different, like, what is this? Okay, and then from there, I started to have this pull, this little inspiration, this little flame behind my heart, which kind of was guiding me and leading me. And I went back and watched some more of Derek's reels, and like they were kind of clicking differently. And then like led me to like a book that I had read already called Letting Go. It's right here actually. Pathway to Surrender. This is one of the first books I picked up again. And I'm reading this shit and it's hitting differently. And I'm like, what? I already read this. Why is this making different sense now? I'm having this like this pull, man. This little flame in the back of my heart that's kind of just like guiding me, man. And I've never felt this type of power, man. I've never felt this type of presence. I've never felt this type of calmness. I've never felt this type of inspiration. I've never felt this type of energy. I've never felt this type of discipline. And it wasn't overwhelming, but there was something. There was a force. There was a force. And the biggest thing to me, y'all, the biggest part that excited me about this was the inspiration. It was the inspiration. It was like this feeling of wanting to be alive that I have never felt before. That's not true. I felt it before, but not in this way. And the next thought I had was, you know what? I need to start meditating. And I never can meditate, y'all. Okay? I'm not the meditation guy. I'm the crazy guy, the Scorpio that has 1,000,000 thoughts per minute that's running around and came to, ask any of my friends. I'm always the one that's talking and moving. Me? Meditate? No. I can't do it. I've tried. I can't do it. So I want you to know, I meditate every single day since then. Meditate for hours a day now. So you can do it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. We'll talk about that. I'll leave a whole video on meditation. Absolutely. But led me to meditate, and I said, I'm just gonna put this on for 3 minutes. You know, this yoga, or just calm music in the background of YouTube, and I'm just gonna put my timer on for 3 minutes, and sat there for 3 minutes. And I said, I'm gonna do this every day this week. That's it. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I think about all of my problems. This is what I'm doing. And this flame started to get a little bit bigger behind my heart. It started to kind of lead me to different things of reading and watching and looking. And I became a little bit more in tune with this inner voice. And this went on for like 2 days. And I would wake up kind of with this kind of inspiration, this feeling of like, it reminded me of, in a way, when I first got on antidepressants when my father passed. And I felt the antidepressant kick in. And it gave me this, like, I could get out of bed. Like, I have the power to get out of bed. I have the meaning to go and do something here on this planet. And that's what it was without the feeling of it coming from a pill. Then the universe started to talk to me in numbers, in signs. And at this point, I was like, what is happening, bro? What is happening? And now I'm Googling spiritual awakening. I'm like, what is this? What is this? Like, this is crazy. And this whole time I'm just like, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Like every day I woke up, I'm like, just please have that little feeling behind your heart. Please have that, Jesse. Please, please. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else, bro. I just want this feeling of inspiration and like love and like calmness and like not this like just this great presence. Just please don't leave me, man. Please. And I woke up day after day and it hadn't left. And then I remember I went to go, eat with some friends, and I didn't say anything about any of this. And like, they're talking about the same things, the watches and the girls and whatnot. And I just felt like a crash in my psyche and my consciousness. Like, I don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't want to do this anymore. And I kind of left there in a lot of fear, tremendous fear of like, what's happening to me? The process is so scary because you're alone, man. And as many people as we have on Instagram, and even when you're in, you have people who understand you, or people who are going through it, it's a one-person game, man. It's a one-person game, man. And it's so scary. It's so scary because I'm freaking out. Like, who am I, man? Who am I, man? And I decided to reach out to Derek Grant on LinkedIn, nonetheless. He has like 400,000 followers on Instagram. And I just had to reach out on LinkedIn. This was the pull that I got. I left him a voice message. I told him about my ankle, and he responded to me. And we had this communication, and it really helped me. And his podcast was so crucial just for walking me through a lot of what I was feeling. And I started to awaken to the laws of the universe. I started to read all the books, and I became obsessed. And I'm like, this can't be true. I'm like, this cannot be true, bro. This can't be true that this has been here this whole time. There's rules to this thing, and that like it's all about love. Like love, love, love. I knew this shit. I knew this my whole life since I was a young kid. I knew this. And I knew there was more. I knew there was more. I knew it couldn't have been like this. So I'm reading all this, and I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm so excited because I'm like, what? Like, for real? And like, you don't believe that this stuff is real. I'm reading this, and you don't believe that you are the creator, and you can literally create your experience, and that everything is energy, and that it's a game. It's a game. That's it. It's a game. I was under the understanding that like life is unfair, and that it's about working hard and suffering, and then like fleeting. And to realize there's so much more, and all these answers. Then I got into the law of one. Okay, and I've been asking, where are the aliens? What is all my whole life? Like, where are the aliens, bro? Where? We're not the only ones here. What is this? And all these answers started coming to me, and I was like finally for the first time being fulfilled in this process. Anyway, I reached out to Derek Grant, and he was doing a trip to Tulum, okay? And it was sold out. And I said, hey bro, like if anyone cancels, let me know and I'll jump in. And of course he gets back to me and he's like, yo, someone just canceled just now. I'm like, you're not gonna believe this. So I'm like, okay. I don't have the money at this time, right? Like I told you, I'm not working, but I put it in anyway to go to Tulum because I need to express and experience and talk and be around people and what the fuck is happening to me. And all the while the universe is talking to me, man. And I'm getting these consulting gigs come up, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Like I'm like, I have a purpose, I have a path, like I have a soul, like I have a soul purpose. Like what is this? And I'm walking away, I'm doing everything opposite. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. My family, my friends, and I start to, create content on Instagram because it's just what I felt called to do. And I'm calling people up and I'm like, yo, I got the answers, bro. I got the answers to the universe, man. Like, it's a wrap. We're set. It's about love. It's about light. There's no reason to be depressed. Being depressed and being sad is a lie. It's an illusion. We are pure light. We are infinite. We cannot die. Oh, and by the way, the second that I had my awakening, the grief of my father, which was so heavy, was gone. My fear of death, gone, 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 gone. Imagine how beautiful that is, to not be scared to die out of nowhere, to realize the truth that we never die. And that like the next life is just, it's everything that we yearn for here. What a beautiful, safe place to be. So I was feeling really good when this all first started happening. And I'm starting to like manifest things, and I'm starting to attract things, and the universe is giving me signs in crazy ways. And I'm just like, every moment, man, I remember going to sleep laughing like it's a rap. I'm already him. Like I'm already him, bro. Like it's just energy, bro. Like you just need to tune into it. And I'm creating these characters and I'm stepping into them, and I'm like, yo, it's a rap, man. And then, you know, obviously all of this comes with fear. And, you know, one day I'm believing in God. The next day I'm not. Falling in and out of faith every moment. And I'm just like, don't understand what's happening. And just reading everything. Upset. I'm reading a book a week. Journaling, doing all the work, meditating, shadow work, all of it. Every second of every day, I'm just in my apartment. Which is also just such a beautiful thing, because the universe led me to this apartment in Austin by myself to do this, to go through all of this. And I'm feeling like I never believed in a higher power. I never believed that God was real. I used to think religion was something that people went to when they had no other option, and they were weak and they couldn't handle the real world. It's quite the opposite. So I'm dealing with this programming of like, whoa, I'm thinking of God. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. I'm like reading the Bible and stuff, and I'm crazy. I've gone crazy. And then I remember other people that I remember talking about these things, and I'm like, yo, remember that kid? He went crazy. So this is all hard to swallow, and all while being alone, you know, but still I'm feeling love, and I'm feeling connection to the universe, and I'm feeling the signs are there. So I'm like kind of just being led still. And I'll talk about some of the magic that happened, okay? I'm not gonna use it here. I want its own episode for the absolute magic that has happened in my life so far, and how it's real. But the falling in and out of faith is so important to talk about, because it's so right in your face. You know, you just wake up and you're like, wait, where I used to feel good thinking about this, now I don't. And you go and seek that again. But anyway, my mom I was in this great routine here, learning about the universe, reading, manifesting, doing these things, like walking away from my whole entire life, which was so scary, you know, walking away from my job slowly. People thinking I'm crazy. I don't have any friends, can't hang out with anybody, can't watch sports, can't watch TV, can't watch movies, can't watch anything, can't do anything besides spiritual stuff. So it's hard. But like I said, I'm still feeling like I got the answers. Anyway, my mom had fell, whatever. You know, she fell and she broke her shoulder and needed surgery, so I had to go back to New York. But I'm like, okay, fine. At least my family gets to see me now and see what I'm about, because they're thinking I'm crazy too, you know? At least they get to be around me, and I can show them that I have the rules to the game and that life is beautiful. And literally, I get home, you know, I'm taking my mom to these doctor's appointments or whatever, and me and we're setting up, you know, my family's getting together so we could all hang out, and I drop into like this. It felt like I dropped back into my childhood persona. Like I was like 5 years old or 6 or 7 or 8, like where I was just like really scared and fearful. Like I lost all my powers in a snap of a finger, and I had this immense amount of fear. I had no idea who I was. Like I had just died, and now I'm sitting at the kitchen table with my family. Like, and they're like, so talk to me. And I'm like, I can't talk. I can't look people in the eye. I'm like This was the dark night of the soul showing up, the universe telling me, my son, my child, like you gotta go through it, bro. You can't just read it in a book, bro. Like, I thought I was set. I thought this was the game now, and that was it. And now all of a sudden my mom needs surgery and my family's stressed with their whole emotions in life, and I'm out of pocket, right? I'm out of my own world. Commercials are on other people's TV. I'm like, what's happening? And now I'm brought to my knees in the darkest, lowest, scariest. There are no words. There are no words to describe this stage, especially the first one, because there's no understanding of when it's going to end and what it is, and you lose your identity. And I'll have a whole episode on Dark Knight, but basically what it is you've started to create this new timeline, this new version of who you are with these new rules and this new way of living, okay? And then you also have this old way of rules and living and people and all of it. And you're not quite here at this new place, and this old place is gone. So you're stuck here in the middle, naked, with nowhere to go. And I felt like I was dying every day. Every day, I had no idea what the confusion about who I was. Because I started to understand, like, hey, I'm not this person, Jesse. Like, what's really true is this soul. So then what am I? Am I even a man? Like, this was the quarrel. This was the confusion within me. I had no clue. Everything felt fake. I had no idea. I couldn't talk. I had no idea. How can I express? I don't know. I'm scared. I'm so scared. My family's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you know, and my whole life blew up, and now I'm with nothing, and I feel nothing. I feel terrible. God, gone, bro. Gone. I remember sitting there like, where are you, bro? How could you desert me, man? Like, how could you desert me, man? Like, please, no, not you too, man. I could cry right now. Not you too. And all I yearned for was that connection back to God and to the universe, and that feeling of my heart being in sync with my mind and being in this place where I don't need anything. Like, all of the things, all of the worry about the job and the girl and the life and all of it, like, it went away for a while. And I realized that I just need to be still, and I could actually attract everything. And I was so excited about my life. I was like a kid looking in the candy store for the first time, like, what am I gonna go and do? What am I gonna go and eat? And then, snap of a finger, and I'm in a dark, cold alley, and it's snowing, and it's raining, and the thunder is growling. This is what it was like. And I remember my sister asking me, like, why are you doing this even? Why are you doing this? You say no one understands you as much as they want to, and I have the best family, and they were so supportive. They were trying, but like, no one understands. How could someone understand this? And I remember her saying, like, why are you doing this? And I remember thinking, I don't know. I don't want to do this anymore. I remember thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I wish this didn't happen to me. This was, I had to take my mom to the doctor's appointments, and I'm sleeping in the back room in my sister's house, and she has 2 kids, and nothing is landing, nothing is feeling good. This is why I have so much respect and honor and reverence for people on this path. Why are you doing this? She said. I don't know. I don't want to do this anymore. It didn't feel like it was ever going to end. And I couldn't leave New York to even get back here and like be in my own space, because my mom somehow broke her arm again. So she needed to get surgery again. I had to stay another month and a half or something. And this whole time, I still knew deep in my essence, in my soul, to follow this calling, this path. Like I just, it was like a 99% against 1%, and my 1% being my soul. And my soul was just like, didn't really say much. I remember I got back to Austin finally, and I was sitting outside. I remember I had this conversation. It was my ego and my soul. And I was sitting here with nothing and thinking, I'm in tears and I'm in pain. And I remember my ego was like over here and just saying like, yo, bro, come on, come back, bro. Forget all this love stuff. Forget all this light stuff. Like, come back to this world. We could go do our thing, and like, yes, like we could, it's not going to be great, but we could go, there'll be a good movie that comes out eventually that you'll like, and and then you'll find a girl that you settle down with, and that'll be okay too, And I thought about it. I'm like, maybe. And the ego's like, you got all your friends over here too. They know who you are, right? At least you know what you're gonna get. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe. Like I'm like, damn, like should I just go back? Like I swear this was the battle royale, man. And it was this huge cloud of ego, like I'm saying, like David and Goliath, and my soul, this little flame, just sitting back like, this is what it looked like. This is what it looked like. This is what it looked like. Step. That's what it said. If it said anything. Step. Do something. Make your move. Like it had no fear. Like this huge thing was like this huge fearful, like, come on, because and why and all these things. And my soul, who didn't need to prove anything, and even though I was in the worst place ever, it still had nothing to prove. It was just like, what are you gonna do? And I decided at that moment, like, nah. And this was a hard moment, but I pushed all that other stuff and said, I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing honesty. I'm choosing truth. I'm choosing authenticity. I'm choosing healing. I'm choosing what feels right in my body. What feels right in my body, man. What feels right. What feels so crazy, but so right. How could something feel so crazy, but so right? This adds to the dynamic of it. And I continued on. And the dark night continued. And I couldn't read, I couldn't do anything, so I was really losing. Like I literally had to just sit with it, literally sit with it. And then I got this Akashic record reading that changed my life. And I'll talk more about that. Okay, it changed my life because it was so spot on. It told me exactly. She told me, I'll tell you one thing. She told me, like, she was like, your guides want you to know they're sorry. This is what the first thing she said to me. I was in tears. Before that, she didn't see my tears. She came on, she goes, I just want you to know, your whole team, they all want you to know that, like, they're sorry that it's been this hard here on earth for you. And they want you to know that, like, all the love you've given, everything you've done is coming back to you. It's coming back to you. And it made me feel so at home for a second. That, like, somebody understood me. And, like, I wasn't alone. And they knew what I was going through. And I think that's what's so hard about any struggle, is that we feel we are alone. And we're all scared. We have the abandonment wound. All of us do. We don't want to be left out. We don't want to be alone, man. And, like, the second she said that, it took that away from me. That I wasn't alone. And that this whole time there was somebody, something experiencing this with me, guiding me, holding me, loving me. And then telling me that it's all going to come back and that it was worth something. And we went through that reading and it blew my mind because of so many other things. And anyway, I want to wrap this up because it's gone long. But my Instagram blew up not long after this on my birthday, which is magic that you can't make this stuff up. I'll leave a whole video on this, the magic of it. I mean, what happened and how it happened. You can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up. And anyway, my path has continued, and I've had pure moments of bliss and beauty and love, and I've seen heaven. I've seen it. I've seen heaven, and it's here. Not for long. I haven't been able to hold that vibration or that frequency and that amount of light, but I've seen it. I've seen what pure peace looks like. And I once you get a taste of that, there's no going back. There's nothing. There's nothing. And to know that that is the truth of the world, and that is the reality of what we're doing here, and that is what's possible. I believe it is possible to live in there. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm going after. And I know they say what you're seeking is seeking you. I know that. But you need discipline. You need devotion. You need to go after God. You do. You do. You do. Especially early on. There comes a point where you relax back into it, I believe. And you go through the motion of that paradox the whole time. But the programming is strong. The matrix is pulling you in. And you need to have that devotion, that want, that need. And in order to want that need, you have to taste it. And when you do, there's no going back. Anyway, through this whole process, I knew this whole time my path, my passion, my calling was to serve and to share these truths of higher wisdom about the universe to others and help people awaken to the power and the true reality of what's happening here, and to bring more love into the equation, to allow people to see the magic of the world just a little bit more and how beautiful it can be, because I've seen both sides. And that is my calling, and that is my purpose, and that is what I will do. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share. And if you got this far, I appreciate you and love you. And I'm going to keep leaving these videos regardless of who sees them, because I have no choice. So if you're on the path, keep going. Just keep going. Have grace for yourself and surrender at every step. Stop trying to understand it all. It's not understandable to the human mind. I love you. I truly, truly do. I truly